Today we're gonna teach you how to not die under the barbell. So believe it or not, strength training is actually a super safe exercise. It has an extremely low injury rate. It's actually 0.0035 injuries per 100 hours of strength training. But there are things that we can do to really protect ourselves and make sure that we reduce that injury rate even further. And so the biggest thing we can do is have the right equipment. This is a squat rack. It's called a squat rack because it's got safety pins to protect you if you lift inside the rack. So the chances of letting weight fall on your body is 0 if you set this up correctly. Another thing you can do is just to make sure that the platform that we're working on is clean and clear of debris. We don't want extra plates, 5-pound plates, 2.5-pound plates, barbells laying around on the platform where someone could step on it and slip and fall. And so we're gonna start today by showing you how to lift correctly and safely with the squat. So for many of our clients at Barbell Logic Online Coaching, they train alone. And you can squat safely by yourself in a squat rack without a spotter. And that's just setting the pins up where they're supposed to be so that they can catch the bar if you miss. So for just about all of our sets, even in our early warm-ups, to make sure we get the height of the pin correct, we set these safety pins up just below where the bar is gonna go in the bottom of the squat. So we've set this up for Kevin. He's gonna show you what a squat looks like. Let's do 2 reps, don't miss. We just wanna show how close the pins are to the weight, right? Let's try it. Good, another one. Good, hold it right there for a second. Now, pretend that you went down into the bottom of the squat with a weight that was too heavy to come up, and just go down and set it on the pins. And let go, step out from underneath, and you're safe. So it's really not possible to squat safely with just 1 spotter. You need to have 2 spotters. If you only have 1, you should just go ahead and do it in the squat rack with the pins. You'll see this 2-spotter setup a lot of times like in powerlifting meets where they use professional squat stands and there isn't a rack, so there's nowhere to catch it. So they have to use 2 spotters. So if I have 2 spotters, or if you're spotting a squat, I'm gonna show you how to do that safely. Now, if he misses the squat, show me how you're going to grab the barbell. How are you gonna help? That's right, just like that. So crook of the arm and grab the plates with your fingers, and then you can see Aaron can see the barbell to help get it back into the J-hook. That's the role of the spotter. Get the barbell back into the J-hooks. What most people try to do is interlock their fingers, and this creates a junction that's not very safe. They'll try to catch the bar. You can show them what that looks like underneath the barbell. Number 1, you don't have good leverage to get it up. 2, you could lose that junction. And 3, you can't see the J-hook. So she's standing behind the plates, and the plates have made it so that she doesn't have visual access to the J-hook, so she doesn't exactly know where it's going. This is not heavy weight for Kevin. Even if it were, you would be strong enough to help. If you spot this correctly, it doesn't matter if there's a big, strong person with a lot of weight, you can do this. This isn't that difficult, it's nothing to be scared of. But the lifter should never, ever bail on the barbell. You don't just drop it into the crooks of the arms of your spotters. That will hurt your spotters. So if he misses, and we're gonna pretend that he will here in a second, we're all gonna do our best to help get the weight up. He'll continue to push, and then you just have to help a little bit. So let's do that. Let's do a set of 3, hit your first 2 reps, and you're gonna grind and miss the 3rd. And girls, remember, you don't know that he's gonna grind and miss the 3rd. So you're just gonna kind of watch from a distance, and as he starts to slow down, you'll step in closer. Don't touch the barbell at all until the barbell starts coming back down. Let's try it. Looks good. Another rep. Looks good. And he's grinding, step in, and it's down, catch, help him up, walk it in. You can see, good. You can see it, help him get into the J-hooks. That's great. That's how you spot a squat with 2 spotters. And we still had the pins in here as a backup safety in case they struggle. Great job. So a great general rule for all barbell lifting, except for the bench press, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, is to use collars. We want to put collars on the bar because they help make sure that the weight stays on the barbell and doesn't slide off. And so that's a great safety precaution to take. And go ahead and press. Let's do a set of 5. For presses, you really don't have to take much precaution. You don't spot a press. If she misses, there's no way for me to catch the weight. And it's really against human instinct and nature to drop weight on their head. It almost never happens. So if you're concerned with that, you can use the bumper plates so that you could bail if you needed to, but you probably won't need to. Great job. Or if you're really worried about dropping the barbell, you can just press off of the safety pins so that when you're done with the set, you can just set the bar back on the safeties. Simple enough. Much like the press, we don't have to spot the deadlift because a deadlift starts from a dead stop on the ground, which means that if Kevin struggles with a deadlift, he can just set the thing back on the ground. Might look like that. The most important lesson of the day is how to bench press safely. And that's because the bench press is really potentially the most dangerous lift because the weight is over your face. And so I want to walk you through what we have to do to bench press in a safe manner. Here's the thing. It's always better to have a spotter for the bench press. But if you don't have a spotter, you have to bench press inside a safety rack with the safety pins set. Again, we're going to use both today, safety pins and spotter. Number 2, this is the only lift that we don't use the collars. Now, this really shouldn't be a big deal, but if you get down in the bottom of a bench press and for some reason you forgot the pins, or if the pins were set too low, or you made some sort of mistake, if collars are on the bar, you can't get the weight off. We want to be able to shift the bar to the right and to the left, let the weight slide off if we have to be able to dump the weight on the ground and not have this bar sitting on our chest. Best options are have a spotter, have a safety rack, have the pins set up. Set up with a nice tight arch. And we've got a great video on how to perform the bench press right up here. But I just want to show you that when he sets up with a tight arch, the top of that arch is higher than the pins. But if he relaxes his arch, then the bottom part of his chest, as it gets closer and closer to his neck, it's clearly below the pins. So if he got in trouble, he could roll the bar up and the pins would take the load before it ever got to his throat or his face. The important parts of his body would be protected. Okay, go ahead and take your grip. I want to show you how to do a lift off and how to spot the bench press. So he's ready, set up. When we get ready to lift off, anytime that the barbell is moving horizontally over the face, either to get into position to bench press or at the end of the set, the elbows must be locked. You'll notice right now that his elbows are not locked. The primary goal of the lift off is to get elbows locked and get the bar into position in a safe manner. So I'm going to count to 3. You're going to lock out your elbows. Once your elbows are locked, then we're going to move the bar out over your chest, right? 1, 2, 3, lock it out, and then over. Go ahead and take a deep breath, do a rep, hold it at lockout, and then once his elbows are locked, I'm going to come back in, bring it into the uprights, and set it down. That's how you properly spot a bench press. All right, we're going to show you how to miss in 2 different scenarios. So scenario 1 is if there isn't a spotter, but he's properly bench pressing inside the rack. So I'm going to step out of the way, do your lift off, do 1 full rep. Now, pretend to miss and set it on the pins. Can't get it, roll it towards your body, and you can see it clears his face, no problem, nice and safe. Scenario 2 is where I'm spotting the barbell. So we'll do the same thing, give me 1 good rep, then pretend that you're gonna miss the second. 1, 2, 3, lock it out first, over your chest. I'm gonna step out of the way, 1 good rep. Again, I don't know he's gonna miss. I'm not gonna touch the bar when he starts to grind. When it starts to go down, I can grab it, go back to lockout, and then over the face and down, just like that. All right, so now that you know how to perform the lifts in a safe manner, in a rack, with the right equipment, if you want to learn how to perform the lifts from a technique standpoint as safely as possible, click the link right up here for the playlists.